Welcome to the Qualified Tutor Podcast. I'm your host, Ludo Miller, and I'll be interviewing tutors and thought leaders from across the tutoring landscape to inspire, inform, and motivate you to become the best tutor you can be. The Qualified Tutor community is a safe and supportive space for tutors who love to learn and grow. We offer training, resources, ideas, and a chance to connect with like-minded tutors. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join our Qualified Tutor community at www.qualifiedtutorcommunity.org or find it in the show notes. Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode of the Qualified Tutor Podcast. Today we welcome Dame Alison Peacock, who is, as many of you know, Chief Executive of the Chartered College of Teaching. Dame Alison is also an author, Times Educational Supplement columnist, trustee in education, public speaker, and many, many more. We are delighted to have you on today, Dame Alison, and we also welcome regular guests, should we call them, Julia Silver, founder of Qualified Tutor, and Adrian Conway, our wonderful course facilitator. Dame Alison, as you know, we like to start with this question. And we'd like to know, really, what kind of student were you? And did you ever have a tutor?
Oh, that's interesting. So I was quite quiet when I was at school, but I didn't really enjoy school. And that was one of the motivations for me to become a teacher. So the only tutoring I guess I had was musical tuition, because I was learning to play the piano. So I had a piano teacher. But I never had a tutor for any other areas of my learning. But yeah, so I was probably studious, but not terribly happy in school. I think that would sum up my experience.
Now, Dame Alison, our listeners would love to know, what is the Chartered College of Teaching? And what does joining as professional affiliates mean for our qualified tutors?
So the Chartered College of Teaching is a professional body that all teachers are eligible to join. And for tutors joining as professional affiliates, they have all of the same benefits as you would have if you were a full member. So we have the journal that is published 4 times a year, the website with lots and lots of information, a whole range of free events supporting teachers throughout their career. And we're very pleased that tutors are able to join us, because we know how important it is that tutors in that close relationship they establish with their students, that they really need to know what they're talking about. And obviously understanding more about the wider education field is going to be really beneficial. And we also want to hear from tutors about their experiences and how we can all learn together.
We definitely feel that our tutors are delighted to have the opportunity to share their voice.
Brilliant.
So, Dame Alison, on that same point, is there what kind of avenues can tutors who are members of the Chartered College of Teaching go down in order to have their voice heard? I know we will have many listeners of this podcast who are tutors themselves, but also who have gone through our 4-part Tier 1 qualification. And I'm sure they'd love to know how being part of the professional affiliate membership would help them to have their voice heard, as you mentioned there.
So I email all members and affiliates fortnightly. And there are often opportunities for members to respond to surveys, to respond to questions. We're really keen at the Chartered College that we have our finger on the pulse in terms of what really matters to teachers. We're not a union, so we're not in a position to answer questions about workforce-related issues, but we are very much the organisation that wants to be on the front foot in terms of pedagogy, assessment, curriculum, issues around behaviour management, issues around anything to do with organising classrooms, organising learning. Specific areas of inquiry might relate to special educational needs, for example, or resources. So being part of the Chartered College is to join a huge network of colleagues who have expertise themselves. And then we're very open to suggestions coming from professional affiliates who might say, it'd be really helpful to us if you could organise a session on, I don't know. I've just been speaking to Professor Robin Alexander. So a session on encouraging dialogue within the group. How do I encourage my youngsters to talk and to think and to reflect? And then we might, if that's something that a lot of people are interested in, we might then say, we'll provide an evening seminar. That kind of trying to be responsive, but also making sure that we are listening to a plurality of voices. We're a non-political organisation. We're a charity. We are driven by wanting to enable teachers to follow lines of inquiry that are going to help them in their day-to-day practice. So we hope that's going to be really relevant to your tutors.
There's a vast bank of resources on the site and events as well, free events, which I'd attend every night of the week if I could, because they all have some titles. But there's definitely a feeling that there's this bank of knowledge that can be explored. It looks like a treasure house, doesn't it? And I think that sort of inviting tutors to think at that level and explore pedagogy and practice at that level is a really exciting offering for our tutors.
I think the other crucial thing, Julia, as well about the Chartered College is that, I mean, I've been in education for 30 plus years, and it's the first time that we've had a body, a non-political body that's representing the interests of teachers and supporting teachers. And, when have we needed more support than now? It's a really difficult time. But also, I think a different angle to it, which I think is really important, is about the recruitment and retention. Because, lots of these young people and, tutors, it may well be the sort of thing, if they get the resources and they see what teachers do and they have access to that knowledge, it may well encourage them to go into teaching, which is the most amazing profession ever.
I completely agree. And I think ironically, the job of being a tutor can be more difficult, actually, than being a class teacher. It's different because when you're a class teacher, obviously you're responsible for trying to lead the learning of a group of 30 youngsters. But when you're a tutor, there's such an intensity to that relationship, both for the tutor and also for the student. So it really is a case of trying to optimize the time that you have together, and nobody wants that time wasted. But equally, as I say, there is an intensity around that, which is challenging. So it's about how to create the best possible opportunity to build the confidence of the person that you're working with, whilst also giving them the space to try out ideas, and also to feel safe enough to show the areas that they're not very confident in. It's a kind of human behaviour that we try and show our best side to people. So as a tutor, that notion of how to help someone reveal some of their misconceptions without feeling foolish is going to be essential in order to help them make progress. And once they can begin to see that is happening, and you can begin to see it again, as a tutor yourself, well, that's wonderful. But that might take a little bit of time, and it also takes some confidence on behalf of the tutor to make sure that they're creating those conditions in order that the student can really flourish. So there's a lot to this. It's not a simple thing to do. It looks perhaps to the observer it looks quite simple because you haven't got that great big group of children to be working with. But as I say, the intensity of the experience and the responsibility actually of the experience is such that I think the more that colleagues can do to feel part of the education community and to learn from teachers who have maybe been teaching for a long time to share their wisdom, the better, because it helps all of us, doesn't it?
And do you think there's going to be, tutoring and teachers working together is a relatively new concept en masse, really. Teachers are used to working with teaching assistants and learning assistants and such like. But tutoring's different, and I'm just interested to unpick the idea of the relationship between the teacher and the tutor, and whether there will need to be a sort of a change in the sort of mindset of the way teachers operate to some extent?
So it's a really interesting one. I think if I think about the optimal situation would be that the teacher and the tutor both share an understanding of what it is that the student needs additional support in or additional practice in, and are both mutually supportive of each other. It could be that actually the tutor is working away from the school and never meets the teacher, and that's quite often the case, currently, certainly has been before this new initiative related to COVID. And sometimes there's been a disconnect there because the teacher may be teaching in one particular way and the tutor may be teaching in another, and the student's in the middle, and that's problematic. So the more that we are able to establish lines of communication, the better. That seems to me to be an obvious thing to do. I think also, clearly, if you're the teacher and you're qualified and you've been teaching for a long period of time, and then someone comes in and they're the tutor and they're shiny and new, but perhaps they haven't got that level of experience and expertise, there's a risk that the teacher might feel a little bit, well, who are you? I'm the one that knows what's going on. So it's really, I think, a degree of understanding of that from the tutor's point of view is probably helpful, but equally, if the teacher can really see the benefit, and let's hope they can, of what the tutor may be able to provide, then ultimately, this is for the child, this is for the young person. It's not for the teacher, it's not for the tutor, it's for the young person to actually be able to either recover lost learning or accelerate the learning that they already have because they've got a particular aspiration related to their next step in their career educationally. It's in everybody's best interest that the tutor and teacher work in harmony and understand each other and support each other.
There's also might need to be a little bit of a mind shift in the education profession to some extent, because in the past, and hopefully this will change with the National Tutoring Programme, but the idea in the past has been that you get a tutor if your education is suffering or it's not being successful in the classroom.
Well, I think it varies. So when I was head teacher, there were children in my school that had a tutor for different reasons. So some of them had a tutor because their parents didn't feel confident in supporting them with their maths homework, that kind of thing, and they felt that it would be good not to have a family row around the table. And it's good to bring in a tutor who can help with that. Or it may be because some of the students were, aspiring to move to an independent school and they knew there was an entrance examination and the tutor was able to help them with that. I think further through school, it could be that the young person aspires to, attend one of our most prestigious universities and would really love the opportunity to extend their knowledge and their thinking in a way that in a busy classroom, perhaps that's not possible. So I don't think it's always about supporting a child who finds learning difficult. I think it's about that individual attention. And, of course, back in the day, it was the most privileged of youngsters who had the opportunity to have a tutor who was just working with them, building their knowledge, and the less privileged youngsters were in school. And I think now what we have to do is to recalibrate that a little bit and work together to make sure that we're doing the best we can for the young person. And really, it feels to me as if communication is going to be central in this role. It's not that the teacher will want to tell the tutor what to do, or for the tutor to say, actually, I'm qualified now, thank you very much, I don't need to listen to you. I think it's about understanding where the child is and what's optimal in terms of helping them to grow their knowledge and to grow their confidence and to grow their expertise. And it's that building that bridge that is going to be really important. And of course, we know the teachers are incredibly busy, particularly at the moment, I'm not saying post-COVID, it's not post-COVID, is it? We're still in the middle of it. Teachers at the moment in schools are trying incredibly hard to do everything for everybody in terms of working, obviously, to support learning, but also to make sure that people are safe. So you can understand that for some teachers, it may feel like quite an imposition to then have to talk to a tutor about what they might do, because they might think, well, hang on a minute, I've been doing this for N number of years. And so trying to find a way in that is mutually helpful. And it's a very unusual teacher who doesn't want to put the child first. Teachers love their students. They want them to thrive. They want them to do well. And here we have an opportunity for someone additional to come and work closely with some of their youngsters for part of the week. That feels to me to be an opportunity everybody should be grasping.
And now, a brief word from our founder, Julia Silver.
If you'd like to hear more about the ideas we touch on here, or gain the tools to take your own tutoring to the next level, the qualification for tutors could be for you. This live online seminar is facilitated by industry experts who, over 4 Zoom workshops, will cover the foundations of teaching and learning and how it relates to you as a tutor. The workshops are full of rich discussions where you'll learn alongside other tutors and connect on a professional level. We will teach you how to be the kind of tutor every child remembers. Visit our community space at qualifiedtutorcommunity.org and sign up now for our transformative course. We'll see you there.
Alison, one of the things we used the other day, actually, less than a week ago with the tutors, was your TED talk. I think it was Norwich that you were doing, which was Learning Without Limits, which was received incredibly well, and we really enjoyed listening to it. But what do you think Learning Without Limits means for tutors, and how does it look? How would that look?
So it could be that in your role as tutor, you are the person that unlocks the learning for that youngster, because you're in a very privileged position in that small group in a way that isn't possible in a group of 30. And it could be that if you have the mindset that believes that the child can surprise you in terms of what they're capable of, then they're much more likely to be able to surprise you. Because if you're open to the fact that actually within the context that you can offer, with the time that you have got, in the space that you have got, you can genuinely connect with the child in a way that perhaps they couldn't connect with their teacher, you may be the one that can make that difference. And we all have to believe that this is possible. We have to have, I think, in education, we should have a situation where doors are not slammed in the face of young people, that they have an opportunity to constantly grow and develop and be heard, and to reveal misconceptions in order that they can make leaps in their learning. And you may well be, as the tutor, the person that is best placed to be able to do that. But if you have an attitude that even unconsciously says, oh, poor little one, they're only ever going to be able to do this, I'll do the best I can, but difficult circumstances at home, difficult circumstances in terms of previous history, they're probably not going to get very far, then they won't, because if that's the way that you approach it, then they will pick up on your lack of expectation. So I would say this is a real once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for these youngsters. They've got someone that hopefully they're going to really get to know really well, that they can trust, that they're going to be able to, share their learning with in a way that is really, it's quite an exposing thing, isn't it? When you're with somebody and they're trying to teach you something and perhaps you don't understand it first time. That's really, if you think about it now as an adult, if you think about what that would feel like, that's quite difficult. So being able to be sensitive to that, but also being open to the fact that just maybe this is going to be the opportunity this child needs to suddenly be able to fly in terms of what they're able to do. Well, how amazing would that be?
Yeah. I think one of the things that, just picking up from what you've said there, is about the ability of the tutor to build relationships and explore the whole child. It's not just about the education and exams and those sorts of things. It's about the whole child, isn't it? And it reminds me of the Ken Robinson. Everybody has an aptitude for something, and it's just a case of just exploring it. And sadly, many people go through the whole of their lives and never explore, never find out what it is. So I think the tutoring, and certainly the NTP, the National Tutoring Programme, is sort of giving credence to that, and hopefully going to unlock, as you say, the learning of those young people, which is absolutely crucial. It's an amazing thing to be able to do. So I think it's very welcome from everybody in education, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great opportunity. I think it's really important, having said all of that, and I completely agree with you, but it's also really important that it would be a shame, wouldn't it, to spend that time sort of saying, tell me about you, and then not actually getting on to doing the science that you need to be covering. So it's about how you build the relationship of trust, but also how you make sure that the young person knows that you are knowledgeable, that what you are helping them to learn ties in with so that they can make good connections with what they're learning elsewhere. It's all about how to make connections. It's all about that conceptual understanding that builds over time. And so as a tutor, because you've got that much more, that closer relationship, making sure that your knowledge is tip-top is fundamental here, because there's only one chance for this youngster maybe, and you may be it. So without putting too much pressure on, it's an opportunity clearly for everybody, and let's make the most of it. And this is why I think membership of the Chartered College is helpful, because if there are areas where you're sort of thinking, oh my goodness, I perhaps need to learn more about this. Well, ask people, look for resources, think about subject associations that you might be signposted to, depending on the area that you're teaching, so that you make sure that you're up to date, that you're absolutely tied in to the latest thinking in terms of teaching, so that the young person's time is fully utilised in the best possible way.
Yeah, I think we're certainly qualified tutor. We're happy to rise to that challenge and make sure that knowledge and that pedagogy is tip top and as good as it possibly can be. And I think tutoring can be, in some circumstances, it can feel quite isolating because it's, small groups or one-to-one. And I think, with the Chartered College of Teaching, to be part of a larger body and to have access to amazing resources and also amazing knowledge. You think about the people that are part of the Chartered College, incredible knowledge base there that, will be shared amongst everybody in education. And that can only be a good thing, If you could wave a magic wand over the educational landscape and see how it would change, what would it look like to you?
Oh my goodness, that's a question.
$1 million question, Alison, that one, isn't it?
Well, I would like all schools to be places where learning feels that there's no limit on what you can achieve. I would like, and we have many brilliant schools, better than they've ever been, in fact. But I would also like our teachers to feel less constantly worried and less hidebound and more able to embrace their professionalism. And this is really at the heart of what the Chartered College is about. It's about building a really confident profession that is able to not just refer to a recipe in terms of their teaching, but can draw upon a repertoire of skills and of knowledge and ways of connecting with their young people. So I would love our education system to constantly be flourishing. And at the moment, I think there's quite a lot of rule following, both from teachers and school leaders. Everybody's trying to do the best they can. And if you have too much rule following, you lose all the innovation. So I'd like to see a bit more opportunity to be really responsive to our young people and experience that joy that brilliant teaching and tutoring can be absolutely wonderful, because you just see the learning in front of your eyes. And at this particular time, as students are returning to school, having had a long time away from school, one of the things I'm seeing from our members is that exactly that. Children are suddenly grasping things that perhaps they wouldn't have done normally at this time in the year, but because they've had so much time perhaps doing something else, they're ready to learn again. So that's brilliant. The more we can have of that, the better.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that image. I love that image of children being ready and teachers being relaxed. I'll join that vision with you, and I'll thank you, because you've done something very special for us by bringing tutors into the teaching profession, and we want to really, really live up to that as a new key piece that alleviates some of that tension and allows students to experience a learning that is more bespoke and more responsive, where the pitch and the pace can go at their own speed, so that they can feel a more limitless experience for learning. So we feel that tutors can contribute to this vision for education that is lighter and richer. And we thank you so much for inviting us into professional dialogue.
Thank you.
Yes, I don't know about you two, Julia and Adrian, but I'd love an introduction from Dame Alison at the start of every QT workshop. I'm not sure necessarily if you have the time, Dame Alison.
She has clones nowadays.
She has clones, of course. Several Dame Alisons talking to us at any one time.
I think what's lovely, Alison, is when you're talking, you can just, even though we're working remotely, you can feel the passion shining through, and I think that's always got to be a positive. To have someone at the helm that has that passion will take us a long way.
Thank you. Well, it's absolutely heartfelt, because we have such a job to do on behalf of our young people, and anybody who can help, and certainly the qualified tutors will be a tremendous help to that. So the more that we can all do together, the better. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Nice to speak to you. Have a lovely day. Good luck with the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye. Thanks for listening to the Qualified Tutor podcast, where tutors share their expertise to support the tutoring community. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join our Qualified Tutor community at www.qualifiedtutorcommunity.org or find it in the show notes below. We exist to connect, share, and learn with you, because tutoring is a small job that makes a big difference.